I mean, Bitcoin will be 1 million and gold will be, 12,000, 15,000, right? I mean, and the stock market might be hitting all-time new highs. I mean, that's a scenario that could happen. There's a good chance that, I don't think we're 2 years away.
Yeah,
I think, and we could be 2 weeks away. I mean, let the market fall another 20%. What's my guesstimate? I think it happens in the next 6 months.
Wow.
That's my sense. I mean, well, it depends on a lot of things. I mean, let me tell you some other stuff about the Trump stuff that I think is important, okay? Look, they want to reshore stuff. I mean, and I think Lutnick is just, I love him because he's a Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
Okay? He gets Bitcoin. He believes in Bitcoin, okay? But he's a bond salesman.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's just happy. And the whole notion that we're going to reshore it took 50 years for the system to get this effed up, okay? And
Lawrence Lepard issues a caution that is grounded on economic and historical reality. He contends that governments' inability to resist the temptation to manufacture money is the reason fiat currencies inevitably fail. He highlights how unrestrained spending and central bank policy are gradually weakening the US dollar, which is supported by faith and credit rather than gold. People lose trust when money depreciates, and when trust is gone, the system breaks down. Lawrence makes a clear connection, which is why real assets, Bitcoin and gold, are more important than ever. You must be aware of the future if you want to protect your wealth. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
The timing and the event and the size of the blow-up, nobody knows it. I don't know it. You don't know it. Nobody can know it. Somebody says they're full of shit. But I do know this. If you're growing your debt at one rate, and you're growing your underlying GDP at a much lower rate, and in our case, the GDP is not growing much at all, but the debt is definitely growing every year, 6-7%. Eventually, that gap gets too wide, and something breaks. You've got to you've got to inflate the GDP to service the debt, or you've got to inflate the money supply to service the debt. I mean, it's a problem with a monetary system based upon debt creation. Every debt you creates an interest expense. Well, to pay that interest expense, you got to create more debt. So it's like a shark; it's got to keep swimming and getting bigger, and have built-in monetary debasement, or else it fails.
Yeah,
that's the problem with fiat currency, and that's the problem with the Keynesian model. It's just a fundamental flaw, and we've all been led down this garden path for 200 years. But since 71, it got bad, and it's gotten more acute. And with each event, it's gotten even more acute. I mean, the book is called The Big Print. There've been 2 big prints. 2020 was a big print. They printed more and faster. They printed 5 trillion in 18 months. 2008 was a big print. They printed 3 trillion in 3 years. The next one, they're going to probably have to print 7 to 10 trillion in weeks. I mean, I'm making that up, but you understand the concept, right?
The magnitude gets bigger.
The magnitude gets bigger, and they seem to be getting closer together. And, and you can see the signs. I mean, people say, well, how will we know when we're in it? Well, 2 reasons I think we're in it. Gold and Bitcoin price. They're an indicator of, they know, gold sniffs out monetary debasement really well. It does. And then the other way we'll know we're in it is when the bonds start to fail. Like the Liz Truss, UK moment, right? Where she, the bond market started to fail and they had to reinstitute QE. I mean, the Fed, most people don't remember this, but in the fall of 2023, the 10-year went up above 5%. And remember that. So Powell started rate hiking in early 2022. And, he took them very quickly, right? And this was after we're not even thinking about raising rates. And suddenly he starts raising rates like crazy, right? Which, by the way, caused the failure of Silicon Valley. So, but by the fall of 2023, basically, the bond market started to kind of go the wrong direction, and rates got above 5%. And that apparently that's kind of a line in the sand, I think, for the Fed, that above 5%, the 10-year is a problem. And within like 2 weeks, 12 Fed governors had come out and said, this rate, we're probably done with this. The rate hiking cycle, I think we're at the end of this thing. So they jawboned it, and it went from 5 back down into the low 4. So they averted the crisis. But the point is that, if the bond market the bond market's the sucker at the table. So if the bond market smells that they're not going to get paid back in full, they're going to start to slowly but surely walk away. And these tariffs aren't going to help.
No.
I mean, you're China, and Trump is doing this stuff, and China owns a lot of our bonds. I mean, does China start selling? It's possible.
And then if China starts selling, you obviously need increased demand. So that's game over. Yeah,
it's game over. And higher rates, make the budget deficit bigger. Bigger deficit means you got to sell more bonds. I mean, it's hard because I don't want to be a prophet of doom. Okay.
Well, you blackpilled me on the economy here.
Yeah. I mean, but I, from my experience, having watched these markets and watched this cycle play out over and over again, I mean, this is not a pretty picture.
No,
this is not a pretty picture. And anyone who thinks that we're going to sneak out of this with, this will be okay. They'll print some money. It's all going to be okay. The stock market will go on to new highs. I'll take the other side of that bet. I don't think it's going to work out that way. I think we're going to have a lot of inflation, and and the bad news about all that is going to be painful. The good news about all that, that's what's going to lead to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing I propose in the book, we couldn't do that today because nobody even knows what the problem is. And so, sadly, people have to learn it by getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's got to be pain. So market goes down, they print more money, inflation gets higher. People collectively realize, God damn it, this fiat shit is killing us. We got to start electing sound money politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote the book because I was watching debates, I was watching the American public argue about stuff that doesn't matter. I mean, it
all comes down to the money.
It all comes down to this. This is what really matters. This is going to cause enormous economic pain and turmoil. In my opinion, this monetary issue is going to cause enormous economic pain and turmoil. It's a fourth turning, and it's going to happen in the next few years. And when it does, I hope and I pray that we have enough of us who understand what it really is, and that the problem is the money is broken, that we go to, we elect politicians that understand that the core answer to the problem is to go to sound money, not to go socialist, print the money, tax the rich, to go, you know what I mean?
And that's the big question. It's like,
right?
Whether they pick the right path there.
Well, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Because if things get really bad, there's going to be a siren song of the other side saying...
And people love to vote for the person that's saying they're going to give them free money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, that's, and that would be really sad and really unfortunate. Now,
Lawrence Lepard uses exact words. He thinks a significant financial reset is imminent, and it won't be simple. Before people recognize that the current fiat system is flawed, we're likely to experience inflation, market crashes, and political unrest. Only then will there be genuine impetus for change, when the grief is undeniable. Lepard contends that a return to sound money, with gold and Bitcoin serving as the cornerstones of a more secure and moral monetary system, is the solution. However, the shortcomings of the current system must first be made public so that everyone may see and experience them. To remain up to date on the most recent developments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the digital economy, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications.
If we really go in that direction, we will have hyperinflation.
Yeah.
We will. We will have complete hyperinflation. And guess what? Hyperinflation will solve the problem.
Yeah,
it will. It'd be incredibly painful, but it will solve the problem. And at that point in time, there will be no doubt about what caused it.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone will go, okay, I get it.
People are going to learn the lesson one way or the other.
That's right. We have the 4 years here. Trump's thing doesn't work. We print a lot of money, but the money remains relatively sound. It's not a crazy big print. The economy muddles along. The red team gets thrown out. Blue team comes in. Andrew Yang is now vice president. I don't know who's president. Maybe whatever. Stephanie Kelton is now Treasury Secretary. Mm-hmm. And they do universal basic income for low-income folks. They increase taxes on everybody. They do massive stimmies, to help people. And they make it very clear they're not going to worry about government deficits. I mean, Bitcoin will be $1 million and gold will be, 12,000, 15,000, right? I mean, and the stock market might be hitting all-time new highs. I mean, that's a scenario that could happen. The problem is getting to be pretty widely known. And this is, what is this, the Overton window or the common knowledge game, right? I mean, we're kind of, I feel, that's why I feel like we're at the tipping point here. I mean, my book, I was lucky because I had a race to get it out. My book couldn't have come out at a better time, right? I mean,
especially if we do get the big print soon.
Well, and I was terrified that it would happen before the book came out. And my sense is that there's a good chance that, I don't think we're 2 years away.
Yeah,
I think, and we could be 2 weeks away. I mean, let the market fall another 20%. What's my guesstimate? I think it happens in the next 6 months.
Wow.
That's my sense. I mean, well, it depends on a lot of things. I mean, let me tell you some other stuff about the Trump stuff that I think is important, okay? Look, they want to reshore stuff. I mean, and I think Lutnick is just, I love him because he's a Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
Okay? He gets Bitcoin. He believes in Bitcoin, okay? But he's a bond salesman.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's just happy. And the whole notion that we're going to reshore it took 50 years for the system to get this effed up, okay? And, we're not going to reshore all that in one presidential term, right?
Chance.
I mean, there's just no chance. And there's no American who's going to sit here and assemble iPhones for, $5 a day. That's just not, and we don't want them to.
No.
And I don't want to have a $3,000 iPhone. So, again, I think I'm glad they're trying to disrupt and take us in the right direction. but the notion that we can quickly solve this problem is a fantasy.
Yes.
Just like Doge was a fantasy. I mean, Doge is a good thing. It's going in the right direction. But, we've got a gaping 2-point-something trillion dollar deficit. And, Gunlack was saying yesterday on CNBC, he thinks maybe Doge has saved $100 billion a year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's 2.2, 100. We got a ways to go. Look, Trump is a disruptor. And, the tariffs are not, it's not black and white, all good or all bad.
Mm-hmm.
As I think you and I both know, and most Bitcoiners would agree, the system we've got set up as designed, the dollar reserve currency system, Bretton Woods post World War II, now run by massive Keynesians, is flawed. Triffin's dilemma is real.
Yep.
We've hollowed out our manufacturing base. We have to export everything or import everything because we don't make stuff anymore. And, what's that done? It's caused a lot of financialization. Wall Street's done great. Main Street's done terrible.
Yeah.
Trump won the election because he recognized that and he catered to that, and he wants to make America great again. And that really means make America great for all of America, which is not just the top 1% or the top 10%. And he's a part of that, but he's actually a populist, as you know. And that's why he won the election. And so I think, and he brought in a Treasury Secretary, we all know, Scott Bessent, the hedge fund manager who, ran the speculative attack on the pound when he worked for Soros, and obviously understands, economics, money flows, macro, et cetera. And they decided that they were going to be very aggressive about trying to make the changes that are necessary to get us away from the system we've been on into a new system. Now, whether tariffs are the perfect solution to that, it's unclear. I mean, I'm mixed on these tariffs. I mean, I think I'm not mixed on the notion of trying to return America to, to get to a neutral reserve currency and get rid of this dollar-based system and, the globalization that we've had that's hurt America and really hurt a lot of the world.
Lawrence Lepard thinks a tipping point is quickly coming. There is no longer any concealment of the issues facing our financial system, including mounting debt, unstable politics, and a deflated economy. Even among the general public, they are starting to gain recognition. Comparing this to the Overton window changing, he notes that what was formerly viewed as extreme or extreme is now being discussed in public. Lepard claims that if markets continue to plummet, a significant reckoning may not be 2 years away, but rather 2 months or even 2 weeks away. He underlines that significant change won't occur until the present system's shortcomings are thoroughly revealed and the effects are felt by the public. He claims that the idea of swiftly resolving systemic problems or reshoring American manufacturing in a single political term is an impossible goal. He acknowledges that disruptive measures like tariffs and domestic investment are important, but cautions that they are not panaceas. He claims that by seeing how severely the present system has failed regular Americans, not just Wall Street elites, Trump was able to achieve political success. Even with intelligent individuals in leadership positions, such as those advising Trump, we cannot deny the facts of the economy. Lepard points to real solutions like moving toward a neutral reserve currency and returning to sound money where Bitcoin and gold can play key roles. But change won't be instant or painless. The system needs to break before it can be rebuilt. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.